evolves, the meta changes, but EP, I don't know about the Garen, that's for sure.
Don't know about the Garen. Also don't know about the possible Darius that we may have on our hands this game, ladies and gentlemen. Drizzle is going to switch over to the old Jarvan, and it is going to be a Graves instead, so not coming through. But the thing that excites me is Deft picking up the Sivir here with Clearlove's Nunu. And Clearlove, the classic, I'm going to ignore the turret and dive you from level 3.
Absolutely. Nunu still very strong with turret dive ganks in particular. Not so much when it comes to the standard ganks, although we've seen those be quite successful as well. If you have enough CC in your lanes, you can get the potential perma-slow coming through with the very low cooldown on the snowball. Deft is looking at picking up Katarina. I'd imagine Pawn would just lock that in for himself if he was going to select it. Of course, no rush to pick the last pick just yet. Of course, they have the 5th pick advantage being on the red side, and plenty of CC coming through in the bottom lane at least, and combining that with a Shyvana.
Yep, Shyvana picked up here for Deft. Of course, going over to Koro there, who does have the Smite teleport, so the Flandre special there on the top side of the map. Amazing J looking at being a magical horse there on the top side. Shu holding onto that one for him potentially, and we'll see what Raphael decides to go with there in the mid lane. Has been fantastic in the past, of course, was the premier Victor player here. But of course, we've seen him fall off just a little bit now that the tank meta has come through, and Raphael thinking about hopping on to Azir here himself.
I mean, any of the control mages, you're in a blind pick matchup, so go for something safe like an Azir, like an Orianna. Azir, you feel like has a bit better in terms of matchups than Orianna, although Orianna a bit untested outside of Godfrey actually on the 5.6 Athene changes at least. I mean, Azir's seen a lot of priority in a lot of matchups. It makes sense as a blind pick, and now it's just on Pawn. What does he want to play? You feel like if it's Kassadin, it's going to get bullied around a lot, but there's many different options. The Katarina keeps getting hovered. We can hope for the return of the cat.
We shall see. 14 seconds to go. You never know what Pawn's going to be picking here. The Ziggs is what's hovered at the moment. We haven't seen it thus far this season in the LPL, but probably not going to see it today either, as Kassadin does look like the final idea here, and Pawn going to be taking the Kassadin into the mid lane, the newly changed Kassadin, but still rather strong.
And look, Kassadin was always considered a good matchup against Azir back on the 5.2 days, the heady days of week 1 of the LPL Atlas. And look, you have a shorter ranged Rift Walk, but you still have the same kit. You're still very strong if you can get on top of the Azir, although not going to get a lot of help in that regards when it comes to the Nunu in terms of ganking, but perhaps a Shyvana flank will be enough to get some kills onto this Kassadin.
Yeah, and we'll see exactly what happens here because, of course, Kassadin, a bit of a menace there in the mid lane generally if he manages to get going, but if he doesn't, then he can just sort of Rift Walk into his own demise, and that can just be the end of things. But this is Pawn, and Pawn's been able to do ridiculous things with that champion.
Exactly. Pawn has been so strong. And just a bevy of champions. Him and Godfrey definitely been repping the large champion pools. Not the Katarina this time, although we've seen Katarina and Veigar mid multiple times from Pawn. Going standard-ish, I guess. Of course,
I know, it's a bit disappointing, isn't it, to be honest?
Champion, but Kassadin bringing back into the champion pool for Pawn.
Yeah, looking good. But it is going to be Zhang Ao versus Deft here in the bottom lane, Sivir versus Graves. And we haven't seen this one for quite some time. Of course, Sivir slipping out of the LPL meta just a little bit, but still fantastic in that matchup if you manage to spell shield the buckshot.
And just that triumphant return to the LPL, moving in, just because of, again, it's tankception. Everyone's building a Synthehawk, even the top laners at this point. So having that extra on the hunt movement speed is such a priority. It's such a big team buff that you take the lower damage output, you know, at least on paper, from lack of a damaging ultimate, for the utility from that kit.
Well, we'll see whether it does work out here for EDG as they head down towards that bottom side. But Zhang Ao is going to have a big test here against Deft because Deft just all round a ridiculous player. But, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get on to the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Energy Pacemaker taking on EDG for our final matchup of the evening. Of course, this is the first one. Zhang Ao actually going to face check Meko and Deft there just a little bit.
A very nice use of the Ricochet to cancel the auto. We always talk about the auto cancel for burst damage, but level 1 warding, that's gold advantage to EDG.
Yeah, beautiful stuff
Probably not
already.
The first time. Probably the first, but not the last time we'll say that this game.
Oh, come on. I don't know. I believe that everything's going to be happening in this game. Of course, Amazing J does have the smite there in the top lane as well. It's going to be a smite off. both of these top laners guaranteed to get the cannon creeps, Papa Smithy.
But you can see the increased adaptation we've seen when it comes to the flash start for Amazing J. Now you're even safer in taking camps, perhaps even 2 camps, that who knows what items you can get towards to complement that fast. You're already banking, I believe, 110 gold at this point. So going from there, Amazing J, trumpeting around the very impressive Unicorn.
Yeah, and Drizzle probably won't have very many jungle camps to go to.
No, I mean, that's the reality. Jungles are completely ruined when there's 4 smites and even some AD carry support lanes that want to pick up buffs. There's just nothing to pick up after the first clear. With Shyvana especially and her jungle follow being insanely fast, it's going to be a bare jungle.
Yeah, and in fact, the lane swap's going to come through. And of course, the free's going to be coming down for Deft here on the top side of the map, whereas on the bottom side, of course, they are not going to make it to that lane in time. They actually decided to, I believe, take at least one of the Krugs. I'm not entirely sure. Of course, it's still down there.
Though. He's going to the top of the jungle, not respecting the lane swap. For now, he's not going to be found out, but we'll wait to see where Korra goes from this camp.
Korra has actually decided to steal away the blue buff as well, on his own. No worries at all. And that is going to mean that only one buff available here for Drizzle, who's looking for a level 2 gank onto Pawn. Pawn taking a lot of harassment from Raphael. Of course, the last time that we saw Azir was in the hands of Rookie, and it was terrifying to see. Drizzle very patient here in the mid lane. Pawn, if he wants to move up to these creeps, it's going to be very dangerous. Flag and Drag does get the flash. Successful level 2 movements here from Drizzle, but he has no blue buff to go to, and he's going to be very behind moving forward.
He is definitely the big loser in this situation. It's going to be a 3 buff from EDG and just a single buff coming through for Drizzle himself. Korra is helping Clearlove on the second buff to be picked away, so it's going to be red, 2 blues and a red through for EDG.
Yeah, EDG already with a fantastic start as Mako and Deft up here in the top lane, still freezing this one out. Drizzle just wandering around aimlessly throughout either jungle here, looking for any camp that he can get his hands on. Koro, he's going to head back to base, of course, has gone down very, very low. Picked up the Ruby Crystal start here as well. So that is sort of the favored start for the top lane Smite Teleport Shyvana's here in China.
I mean, Doran Blade's probably an option as well, but just a bit more sustainable with 2 potions. If you're ever found at a camp, you can have a bit of a regen to be able to go and do some more jungling. So probably the safest start. And of course, Ruby Crystal will definitely build into useful items in this tank meta.
Yeah, Amazing J doesn't have the teleport. Was actually forced back here. He's going to head back to base. Picked himself up, a cloth armor. And he's heading back towards his top side. Mako hanging out in this brush. And EDG probably not going to let the horse get too much farm as Clearlove pays a visit here to the mid lane. Pawn without a flash. Needing a little bit of help. An Amazing Day. Ooh, Shu actually lands the death sentence here onto Mako, who gets a nice double stun. The boomerang coming through against a couple of members at the same time. EDG just sending a message here to Energy Pacemaker.
Not the most helpful of death sentences in that situation. You're just looking at the lanes as they shake out. We do have Zhengao in the solo lane in the bottom. Shyvana, played by Koro, though, is the other champion. So, I mean, Shyvana will definitely scale with levels. Well, even gets resists when she's able to skill the ultimate, the Dragon's Descent. So happy to be in that matchup. Isn't going to be harassed out, at least so far. 15 to 8 CS compared to his lane opponent, Hecarim. I guess EDG are happy with this matchup. And, of course, Korra's laning with red, so that's pretty strong.
Yeah, not too worried about much here as he's trying to make sure that Zhengao doesn't get another freeze, and he's going to be able to here as the creep's not going to make it towards that turret. So definitely going to be safe here on this Graves, but he's copping E after E, and Korra is really starting to lay the harassment down. Just can't manage to quite get up there and CS freely.
You're just trying to prune the wave and now just trying to push it back as Zhengao definitely doesn't want it to hit turret. Multiple members.
Yeah, Drizzle actually manages to get a flag and drag here as well. Deft going down low, but Mako is the focus as he walks away. Look at the Molten Shield doing so much work. And that is a 3 versus 2. And Deft didn't even have to blow heal or flash, nor did Mako.
And Deft is just standing up so strong in this situation. DPSing down 3 members. Probably did about 800 to 900 damage worth of autos between the 3 members in that situation. Man, when you're an AD carry in form, you can make crazy things just look easy.
Yeah, when you're Deft, that is. And, I mean, I remember you discussing Deft's Ezreal seeming to get more damage than he probably should be able to on that champion out. And in that situation, able to fend off 3 members who manages to collapse on top of you. Very, very well played. Pawn still taking harassment here, but that Q doing some work and trying to keep him healthy.
Probably not going to be too much to note in the mid lane. Kassan doesn't really have kill pressure unless he gets a gank, and only Shyvana really has any CC that can actually cause a pick, you'd have to think through the flash that Azir has. So going to be a farm lane, although you have to say that suits Cassidy. We already saw Wayless go off in the late game on Cassidy in the previous series, and shouldn't expect anything different from Pawn.
Yeah, Amazing J, though, is able to pick up a bit of farm up here. Of course, Mako heading back to base. Deft not being forced out of this lane, though. Just continuing on the low health bar that he has. Drizzle looking to pay another visit here to the mid lane. Of course, Pawn without that flash available again. He's going to move around Pawn, taking a little bit of harass, but there's the Rift Walk now. Actually going to use it to get out of the way of the Sand Soldiers there and keep himself a bit safe. And Raphael does need to be careful. Pawn can really start to move around this one now as Drizzle is paying another visit. And Clearlove going to take down the Rift Scuttler in full vision of all of Energy Pacemaker.
There's multiple members around mid. This is not a surprise. A bit later than we usually see the 4v4 mid lane gank around 4 minutes into the game. Clearlove's caught, but very, very tanky.
He is. He does get challenging smited there. I was going to say smote. I was going to say smote, but it just didn't happen that time. But he is going to be able to wander away. Does use his flash, though.
It all feels a bit academic. Just not a lot of action in the first 7 minutes, especially for an LPL game.
This is not what I was expecting from this game, Papa Smithy. It's not. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed.
Well, the moment you see Azir back in the meta, you know there's not going to be kills around the mid lane, sadly. Just not a kill-centric champion. Not really having his turret being killed anytime. I always have shades of that 35-minute laning phase between Xerath and Azir that makes me very, very sad. But hopefully the rotation will be stronger. Speaking of rotations.
Yeah, actually, Koro coming in through this one as well as Amazing J. Doesn't have his ultimate just yet. Deft finds his way in here, using that ultimate, and does pick up first blood pretty easy there, and a beautiful teleport from Koro.
It's going to be a massive first shot for Deft. We already see Zango has gone back, got a BF sword on 73 CS, ideal CS, and now also identical CS, and also 400 gold from first blood. Should be big. Of course, with all those members being committed to top, Dragon is the result.
Yeah, Dragon going to be the result. The teleport actually back in from Amazing J.
Look at Koro. What a teammate. Just waiting for
He took half of his health bar off.
Look, he's going to want to go back and start working towards that Cinderhawk. It's probably not a big deal. Amazing J with a very optimistic teleport back to top lane and then has to skedaddle away.
Yeah, and Koro actually going to be able to take down the Gromp here as well. Actually waited so long at that blue buff that Smite was available again.
It's such a weird meta, Atlas, with 4 smites
Death Sentence onto Pawn here as well. Does have the Rift Walk available. Is going to go over the wall there. Beautiful choice of direction, making sure he can't get followed. But just going to head back into the lane. No worries there at all. Shu not quite able to get too much done on this Thresh. Has been landing the Death Sentences, but not quite able to make it work. And with the pickup of the mobility boots here as well, very early on, foregoing the Sidestone. Oh, goodness me. This is a 4 versus 1. Amazing J in a lot of trouble. He's going to try his very best to escape. The Ignite's ticking down. Not a lot of hard CC. Mako really needs to find something as the heal gets popped as well. Mako does have the stunner available. Is he going to get in range? We'll never know, ladies and gentlemen, but he is going to get out. Safe and sound. No worries at all.
Amazing J actually went aggressive, hoping he could pick up a few minion kills to hit level 6 and be able to use the Onslaught of Shadows defensively. Managed still to gallop away. It was a very weird procession of people with no CC rushing after him. But the result is that he lives.
Yeah, Benny Hill music needed to be queued. Wasn't actually, but EDG still with the lead, even though it is about 400 gold. And that being said, Raphael doing well in this mid lane, able to stay further ahead in farm. Although Pawn does have his Catalyst already available and has picked up an Amp Tome as well. We'll see what that actually goes into, of course. You expect the Rod of Ages, but not entirely sure what that Amp Tome is going to be doing.
I'm a really big fan of the build that Wayless has been popularizing, the Rod of Ages into Athenes. Usually that might be a bit overkill on mana. I mean, the first time he did Rod of Ages tier into Athenes, which 3 mana regen items.
Probably enough.
Maybe over the top, but of course has the mana scaling on the ultimate. And just coming back to the ultimate, with that 1.2 second cooldown, if you have 40% CDR, which you will have with Athenes and towards the end of the game, the refresh on the Athenes is the big deal. The 30% of max mana coming back. You can use that Rift Walk aggressively for damage, 5, 6, 7 stacks, and just get the refresh coming through from the Athenes. So you can really be a highly relevant, consistent damage dealer rather than just the burst champion he was previously known as.
Yeah, and I guess the playstyle of these Kassadin players is going to be changing here as well after the rework. Oh, Drizzle not spotted here on the top side. Shu and Zhao playing back quite nicely here as well, trying to make sure that he's not spotted out. But Clearlove going to be here as well. 3v3 in the top side. As the freeze is attempted here by EP as well. They don't want that one to crash near the turret just because that turret quite low on health.
There's a lot of people here.
Oh my goodness. Some explosive action. We'll see where the Drizzle's going to go first here onto Deft.
He's being very tasty.
He is definitely being tasty. Oh my goodness. I feel like that we should have some music. Dun, 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 dun.
I feel like David Attenborough should be coming in.
I'm not going to try
Sir
again,
David.
Papa Smithy. Oh, actually, there's the Tibbers onto 2 members there as well as the Absolute Zero comes through. Drizzle, he's going to get healed up, but Cataclysms himself to death as Zhao does manage to pick up Deft in this exchange. Clearlove flayed back under the tower. A lot of damage. The double kill for Zhao, who's very low, almost kills himself on the Molten Shield, but the Mastery going to keep him alive.
A triple kill for Zhangao. Graves has gotten rolling. That's definitely going to be minimum an Infinity Edge picked up. Just a terrible turret dive coming through. Deft undying, I understand. Clearlove ate a turret shot he didn't need to, and then Zhu, with that long, short cooldown on the death sentence, had it up for a second time to sentence a third member to death. I mean, EDG always great with his turret dives with Nunu, but that time a massive misfire.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's necessarily that they're great. Oh, actually the flash forward here from Raphael looking for the last couple of auto attacks, but Pawn able to survive there. One more tick of the Ignite would have been it for Raphael in the 1v1 versus Pawn in the mid lane, but not going to happen this time.
And almost a solo kill on his Korean compatriot Raphael by Raphael there onto Pawn. I mean, what's happening here for EDG? They definitely haven't picked a non-standard lineup. It's very reminiscent of other champions, barring perhaps the Kassadin as a bit of a curveball, but EP are just really on top of things early.
Yeah, they're definitely doing well, and Deft falling down on that top side. EP having a good exchange in a 3v3 situation. They do manage to take down the top outer turret, so continuing that gold advantage or EDG, but might be answered here as EP with a lot of members here in the mid lane and only a Kassadin to defend. Koro is heading around here as well, and there is a collapse, and will be 5 members of EDG pretty soon, but we'll see whether they are going to be able to stop the onslaught because this turret is very, very low.
I mean, the item timings are definitely a lot better for EP than EDG in this situation. You see the Athenes completed, Infinity Edge and a Dagger completed for Graves. So super, super strong. Has collateral damage available as well compared to just a lot of parts of items. Working towards the Rod of Ages, working towards Infinity Edge. But those items not complete. Dragon in 35 seconds. No time to shop for that if you're EDG. And it should be an uncontested Dragon for EP.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether Koro is going to make it back there. Of course, has his teleport available. Has just taken the red buff as well. Oh, actually, no, he's going to leave that one up. I think Clearlove wanting to pick that one. Is Amazing J still up in this top side. Does have teleport available as well as you mentioned, Dragon available in 14 seconds. And we'll see who's going to be down there. There are some wards for EDG. Koro making a bit of a drive-by here just to clear out all of these creeps. And, man, that Gromp buff is silly damage.
I mean, Gromp buff, Cinder Hulk, and just the natural burnout damage, already 5 points in that ability. We're talking about crazy amounts of AoE magic damage from a champion that itemizes physical and just tankiness. So, I mean, the magic damage from Shyvana can't be ignored, and it has to be respected. It's effectively, you know, a double AP comp. I feel like Shyvana's basically the Corki of top lane. Definitely does the majority magic damage.
Yeah, really ridiculous. Zhangao actually able to clear out that entire wave with a buckshot here as well. Does demonstrate just how far ahead he is this game with the 3 extra kills. Every kill for his team here as Mako looking for the Tibbers. Actually lands it after Raphael gets out there. Oh my goodness, just the tip of the boomerang comes through. Teleports are cancelled across the board here as Koro not going to go off on his. An Amazing J going to hold his off as well. But Raphael, very, very low, will be forced to go back. EDG might be taking this opportunity to pick up a Dragon.
But you feel like EP have been poor in not being able to prep up this second Dragon. They had the timer. They had the item spikes. But still, they look like they're ceding away Dragon advantage to EDG. That's, again, just a poor strategical rotation coming through from EP. They are the ones that should have had the stranglehold of the Dragon area.
Yeah, this might just be intimidation here. You know, you're the bottom team in the league against the top team. You are going to give them concessions that you wouldn't otherwise give to other teams because the confidence just not quite there. But Koro, he's going to get locked up here. Wants to use the Dragon's Descent, but it might be a little bit too late here as he's going to fall down. Amazing J picks it up with the Onslaught of Shadows. Tibbers does manage to pick up the Dragon in the meantime, and EDG look to try and disengage this one, trading Dragon for Dragon.
Yeah, kill for Dragon. If Sivir is rotated, and yes, is rotated to mid, she has almost instant wave clear. They need to force Sivir away from this tower. No, it's already been prepped earlier. Kill in a turret versus a Dragon, probably take the kill in the turret.
Most definitely, especially considering the fact that Energy Pacemaker already had taken a Dragon themselves. Amazing J going to be able to pick up a pink ward as well, and EP pretty happy about this situation to now have the gold lead, even though it's only 200.
It's a very small gold lead in this situation. They already had the item timing, so they'll feel bad for ceding any objectives when they already had completed their big items. Now Deft goes back, has an Infinity Edge, even throws in an Avarice Blade for even more AoE wave clear. Probably needs it, given that Kassadin, very risky and very gated in terms of cooldowns when he gets his Force Pulse available for wave clear. And Koro probably not going to be able to run into the middle of a minion wave, 30, 40 minutes into a game
Unless
safely.
It's a Ghostblade Sivir.
Ghostblade Sivir is always an option. I mean, we actually saw it earlier in the season. I mean, it's a crazy 2-item power spike. It's just one of those situations where for 6 seconds you can kill turrets, and then for the rest of the fight you really can't. And Atlas, you best of all know how long these team fights are on patch 5.6.
Yep.
I think Youmuu's Ghostblade has gone straight out the meta just because fights end in 36 seconds, not 6 seconds.
Yeah, or maybe if they extend even longer, you'll be able to get 2 uses out of it. Doesn't have a long cooldown.
I feel like Phantom Dancer or Static Shift might be more damage in that situation when people have 200 armor and 2,000 health. Well, 4,000 health.
Yeah, a lot of health. Ridiculous amount. But look, I'd respect it if it was to come through anyway. Shades of PDD, Papa Smithy.
Look, PDD was a top laner building Ghostblade on Shen. That's a very different thing to Ghostblade on Sivir, which on patch 5.2, excellent. Patch 5.6, no.
No. Bad move. But Cinderhawks have been built all around here by both top laners and both junglers here as well. Or I guess all junglers. Not entirely sure what the proper phrase is.
The only person who's missed out on the challenging smite train is Nunu. Surprisingly, with Cinderhawk, you think he'd have enough AoE wave clear.
I thought it'd be the poacher's knife. That seems to be the Nunu item of choice today.
We saw a poacher's knife today. I mean, there's just so many smites. There's never any camps for you to poach is the really big issue. And then sometimes the AD carry, I mean, when they're as big as Zhang just buckshots the Raptor cap, and there's nothing to smite anyway. So I don't know about Poacher's Knife in this situation. We saw skirmishes.
Shu actually in a whole lot of trouble, though, as Absolute Zero comes through. Drizzle does manage to knock him out of that one, as Raphael has found a place in the cove, but Clearlove flashes on top of him. The Azir is most definitely dead. Double kill now for Pawn, as there's the boomerang coming through over the team. Pawn picking up a triple. Amazing J now in trouble. No more Rift Walks to be had, though, and he'll settle for a triple kill. Pawn always finds a way to get himself into these games.
I'm going to be honest, Atlas, just from the little Kassadin play we've seen so far, I wonder why this champion just hasn't reverted to his old stages. Okay, you lost 150 range on your Rift Walk, but it's up every damn second. It's so strong in the late game. The re-engage is on.
Yeah, actually, Force Pulse there as well as the boomerang comes back. Oh my goodness, Zhang's going to fall down, and Amazing J versus Pawn at the same time. Not sure who's going to win this one, but Amazing J does find his way back under the turret, and we were definitely sure who was going to win. That could have been the, I guess, late pentakill here for Pawn.
Yeah, delayed Quadra 4-0-0. Kassadin's always seem to find a way, whether it's the champion getting back into the meta or just the picks that we've seen come through, always seem to work out in the late game. Gonna throw on basically the parts of a DFG. That item doesn't exist, Pawn. I know that you're not thinking about that. But obviously going to be working towards both the Zhonya's and some sort of 20% CDR item. Again, I like the Athenes for the 30% mana restore, but Merlinomicon, not a bad choice either.
Not a bad choice. I guess they don't have too much regen here that you really need to take care of as far as finishing off a target. So probably the Athene's worthwhile, but I guess it's only Raphael there for the magic damage. So not entirely sure what he's going to go with, Papa Smithy.
Look, he's got the Fiendish Codex. That's all we know at this point. Could be the spooky ghosts for all we know.
Oh, I hope so. I certainly hope so.
I mean, Kassadin really needs help chasing down people, especially now with the 1.2 second Rift.
Shu definitely needs some help getting the heck away from this Kassadin. Death sends him closer, and that's not going to be the way it works. Is Pawn going to pick up his 5th kill of the game?
I mean, this is just the way of the Kassadin. Kassadin's always been a staple pick in the LPL meta. Even when teams moved away from him back in 2013 during Season 3, Kassadin found a way. White of Starhorn Royal Club, or Royal Club as they were known at the time, was well known for his mid Kassadin at that point. I mean, Kassadin been changed so many times, still very, very strong. And when you're 5-0-0, you can build whatever you want because you're going to wreck a team fight.
Yeah, one can only hope he builds the Spooky Ghost now just because he can. The Twin Shadows potentially coming through, and I just really, really like that item. Gives you movement speed, Papa Smithy.
And that will help Kassadin chase down people I come back to again.
Yeah, stop ruining my dreams, Papa Smithy. Shanghai's going to be able to clear out this bottom wave, though. Of course, still very relevant in this game, going to be building up that Phantom Dancer, as opposed to the Static Shiv that Deft has opted for. Of course, the Avarice Blade helping him get there a little bit faster.
I mean, the only thing that EDG don't have is wave clear, so I don't mind the Static Shiv. You give away the critical chance for, like, 1% movement speed, which is basically a nothing statistic, but just the instant wave clear from Sivir, that's what Deft really needs to provide this game, and, press the ult button.
Yeah. Press R and...
hope for the best.
Hope for the best. Precisely. Kill minions and press R. That sounds like something that he can definitely find his way around. Of course, Deft, probably one of the most impressive mechanical AD carries thus far in China.
And this is the new Azir build that's really ascended, has been
my
Luden's
goodness.
Echo Azir. I'm not 100% clear about the interaction with spells and the auto attacks of the Sand Soldiers. I have to assume you only get the Luden's Echo proc on the first, on the use of your Q, maybe on the use of your W, but not going to be just spamming out those procs on like a 3-second cooldown.
Yeah, and it's probably not going to get recharged as well every auto attack from your Sand Soldier.
Not.
That would be pretty ridiculous, and I would definitely then understand why Raphael would be going for that item very early on in his build. Pawn does find himself on top of an Energy Pacemaker ward and very deep behind enemy lines.
But he's both tanky and just completely scary to get anywhere near now with the Zhonya's, even for a potential stasis option. Out of position, though. He'll come around for his team. EP, you feel like they had this game really locked down when they had the first dragon, when they had position on the second, but suddenly it's a 2,500 gold lead for EDG.
Yep, and they are going to be forcing this second dragon here as well. 3,000 gold in the lead. The dragon's still here, still attacking Clearlove, but he's not worrying about it too much. Of course, that Cinderhulk doing a whole lot of work. See what is going to happen here as it comes through, but
Deft
resetting
really
towards the back.
Tanking this dragon, of course, it's going to reset. They need Clearlove to be the one tanking it. Deft really scared at 500 range of the Onslaught of Shadows. Death Sentence goes wide, so they'll rush it down, but will there be a fight?
Yeah, Clearlove actually going to get it. Oh my goodness, Deft manages to spell shield the Cataclysm. Drizzle's going to fall down as the Sivir manages to take him out, and Pawn now in the backside. Zhangao in a whole lot of trouble. He's going to fall down. Pawn picks up another kill there. Deft did fall down as the Emperor's Divide came through. Pawn trying to kite around this one as well as Raphael. Very, very low. The Sand Soldier's not going to be there anymore as Amazing J falls after him, and Shu finds himself the last man standing. Pawn with the Rift Walk will still be there, but decides that killing minions is probably more important.
Yeah, 4 for 2 trade comes through. Even though they're all melee champions, they'll probably take this turret. Only Thresh to stop them. Pawn keeps bouncing around 7-0-1. Close to legendary already at 23 minutes in the game. And it doesn't matter what the balance level is of Kassadin. A legendary Kassadin, game's probably over.
It's ridiculous. And he got ganked at level 2 here. And let's check it out again. Look at this spell shield.
Watch the re-engage. The spell shield is very clever coming through from Deft. Does spell shield the damage as far as we can tell. So lives throughout this fight. Pawn's actually off screen at this point. He only enters the fight right now. Uses the Zhonya's instantly, so doesn't even get feared. That was the only duration where it'd be easy to auto. He falls low during the engage just from the ignite and all the Sand Soldier damage, but comes back in aggressively. It's the reality, just how strong Pawn is. It's even numbers at this point. Kills one, comes in to kill another, and Thresh has to walk away with his tail between his legs. So excellent team fight for EDG, and Pawn's already just not able to be dueled. He's working towards the Athenes, as we mentioned. This Rift Walk, we could see 9, 10, 11 stack Rift Walk coming through in a fight.
Yeah, and if he manages to get the reset there, get a whole lot of extra mana back, like you mentioned, it's going to be very, very difficult to deal with him. He still has the Flask there as well, so he can sit around in a lane, do whatever the hell he wants, and he will have a whole lot of extra mana as Energy Pacemaker are going to be able to take down this Rift Scuttler. And Amazing J follows through on to Koro. Athene's completed now, as you mentioned there, for Pawn, and Koro going to be relegated to underneath his turret, which still has more than half of its health, so that one not going to be going down anytime soon. Koro with a Randuin's.
He's very, very tanky, but it's 4 members at this point. He can only really hope to buy time. No one's rotating aggressively, though, and they get the turret.
Yeah, Koro eats a whole lot of spells. Not too worried about that one as the Randuin's does come through. Raphael's there as well. Was that a flash actually used? No, I don't think it was. As Koro trying to chase after. There's the Dragon's Descent as well as Clearlove comes through with the ultimate. Zhangao going down very, very low. Death sentence onto Koro. Deft takes down Amazing J. There's a beautiful Emperor's Divide, though, in the back line as Pawn trying to get in amongst this fight. The boomerang is enough, and the double kill comes through for Deft. And Man, Energy Pacemaker, they try to make the moves. They try to rotate and take turrets, but nothing they can do against this lineup. And EDG, they're going to take a Baron.
It's a super low CC lineup, but so much damage coming through between Shyvana and Kassadin. The go button engaged with the on the hunt. The Baron damage is massive at this point. Clear will just secure that one through, and there's nothing that EP can do. Raphael gets a bonus, gets the blue buff just about, but that's all they have to show from that engage.
And here, I've got a different line of thinking here, Papa
I'm
Smithy.
listening.
The on the hunt is kind of like an AoE slow.
How do you figure?
Because it gives everybody on your side movement speed, and therefore, respectively, the enemy team is slower than you.
So you're saying it's a movement speed imbalance?
Yeah.
That's not a slow.
Sort of. It's kind of like a...
No.
Oh, okay.
It's like a haste,
I went
actually.
for it.
That's
yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, but it makes you faster than them.
A haste is the opposite of a slow.
But it makes you faster than them. If you think about it relative to your team, they're going slower. Right? Okay, maybe it was too deep. Clearlove is going to be able to take it down the Wolves, though, and you can see there are 5 pink wards on the map here for EDG. They have complete control of every quadrant other than one, which they are now infiltrating.
And the big loser of this game is Drizzle. He was the one, of course, who got 3 buffed effectively. Still doesn't have an Aegis at 27 minutes against a 4 AP lineup coming through. Of course, Shyvana almost exclusively magic damage. Clearlove and Annie, a support active magic damage. And Pawn is just a god at this point. Now has 40% CDR, probably even more with the CDR boots. I don't even know if he's
got blue buff
overcapped
as well.
at this point. Blue buff, yep. He's just not done his sums. Poor effort there, Pawn.
60% cooldown reduction. Don't worry about it.
I mean, he's just a kill off of Legendary. Nothing they can do. They just can't choose a fight unless they account for Pawn. And a 1.2 second Rift Walk. Stasis option, Kassadin. I just don't know how you account for that, Atlas.
Yeah, I think you run away in fear, hopefully faster than he can teleport after you.
Doesn't have a teleport, but his Rift Walk, it's fast.
That's what I sort of mean, is the fact that it feels like he's just teleporting around the map, which is just terrifying. EDG are going to use this Baron buff, though, to take down the inner turret here in the mid lane. As Raphael tries to defend it with the Sand Soldiers, not going to do anything at all. As EDG able to take what they want at this stage. Korra split pushing on the top side. While this is all going on, the last 2 remaining inner turrets now towards the top and the bottom lane.
Korra is just so tanky. You get natural resist from the passive as Shyvana. Warmog's complete. Double Ruby Crystal, because why not? You've got the health death cap and the Cinderhawk. Might as well just throw in some cost-effective health to finish things off. Can't really get turret damage in.
If that's looking at building towards a Spirit Visage, he'll be able to take half of his health in damage, stand in a brush for 4 seconds, and he'll have all of his health back because of the Warmogs.
And you wonder why we haven't seen Dr. Mundo, Atlas, because he must do some hilarious things with Cinderhawk.
Well, EDG are going to rotate down towards this bottom side of the map. The Baroned up minion's going to be able to make short work of that turret there as well, as Korra continues on the top side. Pawn being a menace there in the mid lane as well, but Raphael able to clear out this wave quickly enough to stop EDG from breaking the base just yet. And if we're talking about this game going towards the super late game, is there a way that EP holds on, turtles out the game, waits for this Hecarim to get huge and Raphael to do so much consistent damage that they have a way back in?
No.
All right. Well, I went for it.
I mean, I can understand your thought process there, but we're talking about a Kassadin who's 7-0-3. Sivir in the late game does a lot with Peel, still does a lot of relevant damage, and there's going to be plenty of Peel. The dive from Shyvana, Nunu, and Kassadin is just going to be unholy. It's going to be so strong. 3 dragons to 1, moving towards the 5th dragon. The Baron has never been an option for EP, and you just look at Korra. He doesn't even take damage.
That death sentence needs to be renamed here, as Drizzle does have the opportunity to go in for a knock-up, but doesn't want to go against multiple members of EDG, as that command attack on the Sand Soldiers is going to get blocked out by the spell shield. But oh my goodness, Pawn going so deep into this one. There's the absolute 0. Everyone on EP is melting as Deft picks up a double. Pawn picks up a kill. Amazing J tries to get something done as Pawn is completely underneath the turret now, as Clearlove comes around again. A double kill for Deft as Koro finishes off the last one. The triple, actually, as Raphael falls down. And my goodness, EDG, they just look unstoppable here in the LPL.
And this is the issue for EP, is that even though there's very low range on this EDG team, there's only a 500 range Sivir and then just the ranged auto attacks from Annie. They have a Shyvana shrugging off damage. Clearlove's always very tanky on the Nunu, and hell, Pawn can do some turret diving as well. So turret diving, there's just no way to stop this team whatsoever. It's just a relentless dive. The double Tibbers comes through, but that's not the big concern. Just wait till Pawn starts ripping through this team. There's nothing they can do, even though it's a wonderful 5-man Emperor's Divide. It just doesn't matter. Pawn goes into the front line, can use the stasis. If you watch this fight, he actually falls very low in mana. Then look at the buff to Theens when a member goes down. Gets a massive chunk of mana back.
That's his whole health bar.
That's 30% of his mana. That's what happens with the Theens. And then Dangerous Game is an extra 5%, I believe.
That is completely ridiculous. I wasn't actually watching his mana bar during that team fight. I have to admit there, Papa Smithy, but watching it just then, I do now understand exactly why that item is opted for here on Kassadin. It makes you sort of feel like he's a little bit like a Katarina.
Well, I mean,
getting resets in the fight.
And that's what it kind of feels like, because 35% between Dangerous Game and the Athenes, and then you take into account the fact that when he hits people with his W, that also gives, I believe, percentage mana back. You're getting so much of your mana back on each kill if you get into melee range. And that's kind of the cute thing about the Kassadin rework, is that back in the day, Kassadin did most of his damage from, what, 600 units away when he used to have his silencing Q and, of course, the false balls. Then they tried to make it more into melee range with the changes onto his W. Now he's heavily incentivized to go completely into melee range, charge up your ultimate, and get in there for rift walk damage. So look, if they wanted to turn him into a completely melee range assassin, the job has been done, because you now dive so aggressively as Kassadin, really build up that mana, but you do crazy amounts of damage in melee range.
Well, he's now 8-0-7, so he's definitely doing that one here.
He just bought an Archangel's for more mana. And he didn't have a tier.
Interesting.
That's just an Archangel's.
And let's have another discussion here, because Koro's picked up a Frozen Mallet.
So Shyvana was actually one of the champions you always considered Frozen Mallet on. I mean, the thing about Frozen Mallet is it's a great item. It just builds really terribly. Like, I think it's on purpose builds terribly, because if that was in the meta and it gave everyone a slow, it just really skews balance in general when it's like, oh, I don't have a slow, I'll just buy one, which is what Frozen Mallet is. If you can just buy it, has excellent stats. It gives you 500-600 health. It gives you a lot of health. Warmugs gives you 800 as a reference point. The effect is excellent, especially on a melee champion. I believe it's 35-40% slow. It's a great item. So if you can fit it into a build, if you don't need resist, and remember, Shyvana gets naturally armor and magic resist from the passive scaling of her ultimate. Level 16 for Aegis, level 18 now. Again, the health multiplier with Cinderhulk. There are far worse items in this situation than Frozen Mallet.
Yeah, Frozen Mallet, definitely one of my favorite items in the game. I just wanted to hear you talk about it and how it's good.
Do you like any item that people build naturally?
Not really, no.
So you're just ultimately a hipster?
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be a Tibbers on a shoe, though, and he's most definitely dead. Gets a nice box down, though. This might actually help out as Raphael with a decent Emperor's Divide.
Pawn's coming.
The full channel of the ultimate to come through from Clear Lover's Pawn enters through the backside of here as well. Oh my goodness, Zangout just got ripped apart. Amazing J tries to ult in, but Drizzle's going to die. The double kill now for Pawn. And Koro just tearing part members here as well. And everyone on EDG just seems to be doing far more damage than they have any right to. And the surrender to come down 34 minutes into this game. Energy Pacemaker tapped the mat, and EDG, I mean, it didn't look great at the beginning of that game, and then Pawn all of a sudden had 5 kills and 0 deaths.
Remember, he was 0-0-0, I believe, then got a quadra kill delayed in a fight, and then just ran away with it. It's the same thing we saw when Wayless, or Godfrey as he was doing that game, combined with Ashe in the late game to do scary things. This new Kassadin needs to be seen to be believed. You just see how much consistent damage. There was like 9 Rift Walks during that fight, mostly for damage. Still managed to Rift Walk around the surrender. It was probably costing about 1,200 mana at that point, but it didn't matter. And Kassadin, we're either going to see a lot of Kassadin or no Kassadin at all coming to playoffs, because the bans, they might start coming. Yeah,
well, we'll see whether they will, and we'll see whether that's how Energy Pacemaker react as we enter our second match here. Of course, our final game of the night, Energy Pacemaker seeing whether they can bounce back against EDG.